Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Sinead Hickey. Thank you for joining us. We start with developing news at Arizona State. The university announced it will go beyond its recommendation on face coverings and make them mandatory for everyone on campus. This appears to be in direct opposition to a state ban on mask mandates. With rising COVID cases in Arizona, health experts and parents are worried about sending kids back to school. Cronkite News reporter Erin Slindy takes a look at the efforts to protect campus communities from the virus.
In June, Governor Doug Ducey announced that no students would be required to get the vaccine or to wear a mask when heading back to school. Arizona lawmakers make the ban on mask mandates a law when they pass the state budget. Since then, the more infectious Delta variant has caused more cases and deaths throughout the state, specifically affecting more children. At the college level, Arizona State posted its new rules on face coverings, which says, in certain indoor settings, face coverings will be required. Those settings include all classrooms and teaching or research labs. ASU says it will follow CDC guidance and require masks in crowded outdoor settings or situations where people can't maintain social distance. The Arizona School Boards Association says a mask requirement is needed at high schools and elementary schools in order to keep kids safe. If the requirement does not change, the organization says it will direct more than 200 governing boards at public schools to go back to online schooling.
There's only one way to manage this, and that is to demand that everybody who's in a classroom is masked and that everyone who walks into that school who's vaccine eligible is vaccinated.
During his news conference on the infrastructure bill, President Biden called out governors who signed off on mask mandates.
And I find it interesting that some of the very people who are saying that, who hold government positions, are people who are threatening that if a school teacher asks a student if they've been vaccinated, or if a principal says that everyone in my school should wear a mask, or the school board votes for it, that governor will nullify that. That governor has the authority to say you can't do that. I find that totally counterintuitive and, quite frankly, disingenuous.
In Arizona, there have already been schools that have had to switch to online learning and even shut down due to COVID outbreaks among students and staff. In Phoenix, Erin Slindy, Cronkite News.
Current COVID numbers show parents have a reason to worry. The schools around the state are scrambling to protect their campus communities. Despite only being in class for a matter of days, some school districts are reporting outbreaks of the virus. According to Maricopa County, an outbreak means there were 2 or more students or staff who could have been in close contact with confirmed COVID-19 cases in a 2-week period. As of Tuesday, Scottsdale Unified School District has 22 active cases, 87 students sent home, more than 200 students quarantined, nearly 300 who called in with COVID-like symptoms. Littleton Elementary School District in Avondale has quarantined 16 classrooms in the first 10 days of schools, with more than 400 students and staff currently out of the class. Canyon View High School in Agua Fria Union High School District pauses varsity and JV football due to COVID outbreaks through August 18th. The American Bar Association's policy-making body is supporting the U.S. Interior Department as it works to uncover the troubled legacy of federal boarding schools that sought to assimilate Indigenous youth into white society. The resolution was adopted Monday at the Bar Association's annual meeting. It calls for the Biden administration and Congress to fully fund the initiative and provide subpoena power to the Interior Department as it gathers and reviews reams of records related to the schools. The resolution stems from a recent visit by the association's president to the Navajo Nation, where she met with tribal officials and member of Navajo Nation Supreme Court. Democratic Senator Tony Navarrete is resigning immediately after facing child molestation charges and increased pressure to step down. Maricopa County Supervisor will appoint a citizens committee to name candidates for his replacement. Officers arrested Navarrete last week after a now 16-year-old boy came forward and said Navarrete had molested him starting when he was 12 or 13 years old and continuing until he was 15. He faces multiple charges and is free on $50,000 bond. And now a look back on some of our stories showing the natural wonder and things to do in our state.
Today, there's an excessive heat warning at certain parts of the Grand Canyon National Park, where temperatures are reaching 109 degrees. Heat-related illnesses and other emergencies are common at the park. In 2020 alone, there were 693 medical emergency service incidents. Cronkite News reporter Tina Giuliano spoke with park officials who are urging visitors to plan ahead.
At 7,000 feet of elevation, the Grand Canyon looks calm and peaceful.
In the hotel.
But without a plan,
Yeah, did you want to go back?
the landscape can be deadly.
We have seen a lot of heat-related illnesses. It is something in especially June, July, and August we see a lot of anyway.
We ran into hikers that knew when to turn around.
We brought a couple bottles of water, but we didn't know how far we were going to go, so we decided to turn around so that we didn't run out of water.
Joelle Baird has seen this before as a ranger in Grand Canyon for the last 9 years, a majority of them working as an EMT.
I do remember my first season as a volunteer working in that capacity being very overwhelmed with the number of people hiking into the Grand Canyon and also how many of them were experiencing heat-related illness.
As hikers descend into the canyon, the temperatures get about 20 degrees hotter. Just last week, a man collapsed and died on Bright Angel Trail.
Heat-related injuries can be deadly, and we've had some visitors die even this year as a result of heat-related injuries.
But heat isn't the only weather-related issue. Over the weekend, 1 person died, 2 went missing, and several others were injured after a flash flood in the canyon. Keeble recalls a rescue that involved a hiker that was off trail and dehydrated.
The path got narrower and narrower, and eventually we had to take a helicopter to airlift her out of where she had walked herself into.
But whether it's hiking, biking, or enjoying the view, Grand Canyon officials like Baird and Keeble advocate for visitors to prepare.
Plan like a ranger. Come here, look at our website, find out what you need to do to be prepared, especially if you're going to hike into the canyon.
And hikers have their own safety tips.
If you're wearing AirPods or earbuds, you need to still be cautious about what's around you.
Because you don't want this view to come at a cost. At the Grand Canyon, Tina Giuliano, Cronkite News.
Trails on 2 popular mountains will be closed when temps climb. That was the decision last night from the City of Phoenix Parks and Recreation Board. As Tina Giuliano reports, members approved a new program that would impose restrictions on trails at Camelback Mountain and Piestewa Peak.
Caitlin Walker is no stranger to Camelback Mountain.
Within the last year, I'm here consistently 5-6 days a week.
For her, the trails are better than any treadmill.
It's the best kind of cardio. I'm out in nature. I don't feel like I'm doing work.
The trails aren't always easy, especially with the heat, she says.
I choose to come to Echo because it's a bit challenging and I enjoy it. And honestly, when the sun's up, it's a little bit more covered versus Piestewa where it's all open.
But starting this Friday through September 30th, hiking Echo and Choya trails at Camelback Mountain and Piestewa Peak Trail at Piestewa Peak will be restricted when the thermometer hits 105 degrees. These trails are not only difficult for the hiker, but also for the rescuer.
We just want to limit those 2 parks just because they have very unique set of circumstances to them where they are just a lot more dangerous, a lot more complicated.
Yesterday, the Phoenix Parks and Recreation Board approved this program at the request of the United Phoenix Firefighters Association. From 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., trailhead gates will be closed during excessive heat watch days, per the National Weather Service.
So our ask to them was that they simply restrict access to the summit trails of Piestewa and Camelback Mountain during times of extreme temperature.
This comes after 12 firefighters were sent home for heat-related injuries after rescuing multiple people.
Extreme that we did 3 in one day on the 2 separate mountains.
The move to restrict the trails was met with some debate in the meeting. Walker said for an avid hiker like herself, this isn't fair.
This is a challenging hike as is, so if you aren't a hiker, I suggest trying something a little bit easier. But the people that are here on a regular basis, it's not fair because this is our peace, this is our serenity.
The board will reevaluate the program in October. In Phoenix, Tina Giuliano, Cronkite News.
Our heat wave is impacting citrus trees, especially those planted during the pandemic. I talked with an expert to get tips on how to keep them healthy. During the pandemic, when everyone was stuck at home, many people took on a new hobby. For many residents, that hobby was gardening, and one of the most sought-out plants was a citrus tree.
This last year, we saw tons of customers coming in looking to do more home-based gardening. They wanted to have edible products that they didn't have to leave the house for. And of course, a big part of that's the citrus trees.
Citrus is a huge export of our state and is one of the iconic 5 C's of Arizona that is taught in schools.
And citrus is something that's very unique to our state. You can grow it in your homes. You can, of course, we grow it commercially, which is why it's one of those 5 C's. And we have things like your grapefruits, lemons, limes, oranges, tangerines, pretty much everything you can think of will grow here.
Sal Bracale explains that during the pandemic, his nursery saw a 20% uptick in clients looking to buy citrus trees.
Really feed quite a few people in a household. You can use it for, of course, drinks and cocktails, things like that. But really the edible source that these guys are was what made these so popular.
Bracale says there are other useful benefits to owning a citrus tree.
And actually adds to the retail value of your home. Landscaping your home with all kinds of trees, but especially these beautiful citrus trees can really help you guys flip your home on down the road. And that's something else that's going on really heavily in our area right now.
With the extreme heat this summer and not having any experience, Bracale says new owners are unsure of how to care for them.
And now we're starting to get those questions about care. How often do I water? When do I fertilize, and what do I need to do?
If cared for correctly, by early winter, these green citrus fruits will be orange and ready to harvest. Bracale says that watering new citrus trees is the most important care tip. He suggests a slow and heavy watering to help the plants survive summer heat and stress.
The Tour de France concluded on Sunday along the Champs-Élysées in Paris. But while that race was taking place, a similar competition was happening much closer to home. Emily Carmen has more on the event and its participants, a group you might not expect.
You've probably heard of the Tour de France, but what about the Tour de Zest? Held at La Sienna Assisted Living Community, this cycling event is not for the young, but for the old. Every participant is over 80.
Old people can do anything they put their mind to. It's just, there's no bar. You set your own bar, and you have to feel good about what you do.
The residents at La Sienna demand the extraordinary from their activities department. That's how the Tour de Zest came to be.
We have to come up with remarkable activities every month. That's what they want. Not bingo, not your normal, give us something remarkable.
The 10-day competition is led by Pam Shedd, who herself has cycled across the United States 15 times. She said she is constantly inspired by the older participants.
In here, like I said, I get to share my passion of fitness with people that are still loving it.
La Sienna is just one of 32 assisted living communities competing in the Tour de Zest. The rules of the race work like this. For every 30 minutes the participants ride, they earn 8 miles. The event organizers then tally up the miles, and at the end of 10 days, the community with the most total miles will win the coveted Tour de Zest trophy.
Second place is good, but I think we can go all the way. These guys are tough. And we want that trophy.
But the Tour de Zest isn't just about the trophy. It's about staying healthy and making friends.
It's good to get out of the apartment and meet people and getting the exercise that we need.
And of course, it's about the Zest.
Zest is vitality, youth. We're moving against ageism. We're not saying because you're 90 you can't do certain things. We want to promote an enthusiasm for living.
For those competing in the Tour de Zest, age is just a state of mind. In Phoenix, Emily Carmen, Cronkite News. While the COVID-19 pandemic has been tough for many small businesses, we found one business that managed to stay afloat while keeping everyone safe. Puzzle Rides is part escape room, part scavenger hunt, and it's all on a golf cart. Reporter Julia Sandor went to Scottsdale to take a ride.
Puzzle Rides was set to open on March 13th, 2020. And on March 12th, Arizona businesses closed their doors because of the pandemic. But it wasn't long before they could start their new and safe getaway during COVID-19. Puzzle Rides is an interactive scavenger hunt escape room game, all on a golf cart. Groups have 75 minutes to figure out clues and unlock boxes to win. And there are many different theme rides to choose from, like Pirate's Treasure Adventure or Wild West Heist. Although they started off slow, with only 4 groups in the first month, they surrounded themselves with a community of mom and pop shops to grow their business.
We would partner to really help promote small businesses in these communities. And so we've been able to do that here in Old Town Scottsdale spectacularly because most of the businesses here are small business owners, same as in Prescott. And so it's been very exciting to be able to bring in people into a business they might have walked right by.
Puzzle Rides has partnered with 6 small businesses in Scottsdale who agree to be a location on the scavenger hunt. Some of the clues from the ride will lead them to the shops in the area. And at the end, participants receive coupons or discounts to come back and shop. The Spice and Tea Exchange is one of the partners, and owner Lisa Picorni says the extra exposure goes a long way.
They've been really supportive of us, and it's really nice that small businesses are helping each other out through this, and to bring them in and allow them to experience our shop while they're having fun on their puzzle ride has just been I think, beneficial for both.
Whether you're a tourist or an Arizona native, their goal is to show you new places, like the art installations in the area, while having fun on the journey.
So the more businesses we partner with, we know we're building experiences for people, and yes, we do hope that they go back to those businesses, but even if they don't, the experiences they have, it's a richer experience when you travel to go where the locals go, and that's what we're really trying to do.
In Scottsdale, Julia Sandor, Cronkite News.
They have another location in Prescott as well, where they team up with the local business owners there to create a fun riding experience.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned. NFL player Carl Nassib recently became the first active professional athlete to come out as gay. We break down how it has affected inclusion for the LGBTQ community, and it's all coming up next. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.